Hello, welcome to EH101. I am Dr. Malone, and this class is first year composition. And composition, for the most part, we understand that it means writing. But in this class, we're going to compose a lot of things. And whenever we write or whenever we compose, we almost always have to precede that by reading, which we're going to learn really just means interpreting. And then also to do any of that, we have to think. So this class is one of those reading, interpreting, thinking, and composing kinds of classes. In the first project, you're going to explore a lot about generative AI and large language models, and we're going to learn about them and a little bit about how to use them, but a lot about how you want to put them into your life as a student and as a person. Project 2, we're going to have the chance to do some reading and interpreting of visual media and then writing about that. And that's in hopes that you will become a more sharper observer of messages and things that go on in media that's visual. We're surrounded by that kind of stuff all day, so hopefully you'll be able to pick up some great insights there. And then in the third project, it's a little bit unconventional, but it's composition. If we want to be able to write as people in both the university and in the world, it's going to involve using visual design and possibly social media. So we're going to do composing of a lot of different kinds in this class. I want to emphasize to you as we go through this video that you can email me if you have any questions about any of the things that are coming up in this video. So please put this email into your notebook, into your phone, into your brain. It's me, Malone, MEMALONE at uab.edu. So please contact me at any time. So if you have paid attention, you're going to be required to turn in a page of notes in which you write at least one note per section. So that should start right now. We have 5 different sections in this intro video, and I will try to go quickly and not bore you, but take some notes on a piece of paper to keep track of what this class is all about and what you need to know. So the first part of this welcome video is we need to address something about generative AI and how it's changing writing and writing classes. So what does it mean to be a student in the age of generative AI? If you have this kind of incredible tool, how are you going to use it for good and for imagining that it might have a place in your workforce later on, but you also need to know things and truly learn. Then also generative AI and large language models like Claude, ChatGPT, that kind of thing is kind of calling into question what it actually means to write. So we need to consider that a traditional writing class might be not exactly what we want to go for whenever we have this new tool. So in light of that, we have 2 major changes that are going to take place in this class, and I've implemented these in some classes prior, and they've come out with good results. You might not love it, but that's what it means to be in the world that has generative AI. So it means that you actually are going to turn in a lot more handwritten deliverables and spoken deliverables. So in this class, you are going to record your voice. Oh my God, I know it's going to freak you out. I've been asking my students in the last couple of semesters to do this, and they all groan, and it's a complete pain. Some people continue to hate it through the entire semester. Some people love it. Love it or hate it, it is going to be required for this class because I want us to not only hold ourselves accountable for the learning that we're going to do in this class, but since writing is more immediate and easy to do, you as a student need to prepare to be a speaker in the world and to use your speaking to make yourself stand out amongst your peers who will all be able to write well if they use generative AI in a good way. So the other thing this means is that a little bit of this class, not the whole thing, not at all, but is going to involve you studying, learning, and practicing how to actually use generative AI. And if you choose to do it, you're not required to use generative AI on any of your revisions. But if you do choose to use it, I am going to grade you on the prompts that you use, and we'll talk all about that upcoming. But I wanted to be upfront about this as a way that the class of writing is changing because of ChatGPT. So by the way, don't forget that if any of this is bringing up questions, you can email me. Okay, moving on to part 2. What do you need to be successful in this class or even to complete it at all? The first thing you need is something to write with your physical hands and a notebook or a binder, and it needs to have paper. And I suggest that you buy a single binder or that you designate a single binder for this class, because you are going to be flipping back and forth between notes whenever you're writing your projects. You might want to look back at something that we talked about in one of these videos. I suggest having a designated binder or folder with paper. You're going to be taking pictures of your handwritten notes and turning them in to me for some of your homework. So specifically, the first draft of your first major project is going to require that you have some written notes so that you can actually use that to write the draft. And you'll see more about that later. Obviously, you need internet access and you need to be able to get to Canvas and our course page. Everything is on Canvas. So you're going to be fine if you can get to Canvas. You're also going to need to have access to the lockdown browser. And that is something that means that whenever you take a quiz, or for example, I'm going to ask you to write your first draft in a 75-minute time period on a lockdown browser, it means that when you click start the assignment, you are not able to navigate off of that page and you have to stay on that page to complete the activity. And this is just another intervention to really help you keep yourself accountable for your learning. And it also gives me some good information about what the baseline is of your where you are in your writing journey. Also, we're going to use a writing interface, and you do not need to get anything extra. It's already embedded into Canvas. You don't have to pay anything for it, but it's called the Clarity or Student Writing or Assignment Interface. And what that means is that whenever I assign certain projects in the Clarity interface, when you click on them, you cannot do the work in a separate document and paste it in or upload it as a separate document. You have to actually type and do the work within that Clarity interface. And as that comes up, we'll talk about it more and I'll show you what that means. Here's another thing. If you get overwhelmed and confused or you need any help, if any of this isn't making sense, or if you start your work and you don't know where to go for something, you can just email me. Here also is a picture of what this Clarity writing interface is going to be. You will need to, whenever an assignment is in Turnitin Clarity, that means you'll need to complete it here. It also means that you have access to an AI chat, which is something I will ask you to use, though if you have an ethical if you have an ethical qualm with using AI, you're not required to do that, but you will need to talk to me about it. But you can toggle over to the AI chat, and it allows me to see the prompts that you use and the way you interact with the AI chatbot, so that we can talk about how to make your prompting more effective. Okay, here are some policies, and they're really boring. I hate policies, but it is what it is. So this is part 3. If you need to have an extension, you need to ask for that extension before the due date. There is a syllabus that I have uploaded into Canvas, and it has a template for how I would like you to ask me for an extension. Dear Dr. Malone, I am having this conflict. I need an extension. Would you consider giving me that? I usually say yes, if you can tell me upfront what you need and when you're going to turn it in. I actually do not allow for missed homework grades. So if you do miss any part of the work within the week that's not a major assignment, you cannot make that part up. But I will drop the lowest grade at the end of the summer for that homework or daily work grade. If you turn in a major assignment, that's a project 1 or project 2 or project 3. If you turn in a draft or a final of that late, I will deduct points and your feedback will be later. But if you get an extension, I will not do either of those things. As far as generative AI goes, I hope that you will be doing the work of reading and annotating and doing handwriting and responding with your voice on your own, because what's the point of paying for this class if you're just going to let a chatbot do it for you? So I'm asking you to use your own brain to do those things, and especially for first drafts. However, you are welcome to use generative AI, the chatbot within Clarity whenever you're revising projects 1 and project 2, and when we do a couple of activities using generative AI. So please, if you have any questions about that, let me know, but it should be very clear on the assignment when it says you're allowed to use generative AI. Otherwise, I'm really hoping that you'll do this with your brain. And if you have any questions, you can email me at memalone@uab.edu. Okay, part 4. How am I going to grade this? Well, my motto is this. I want you to put forth effort. I want you to genuinely engage with the material. If you do those things, you are going to get a B or an A most likely. If you don't, that's when you're gonna start getting a lower grade. So I never grade for perfection of wording, grammar, or spelling. That's not interesting to me, and it's not actually that important in terms of communicating. It's important in some cases, but that's not what I'm really focusing on in this class. I'm focusing on other elements such as how much thought have you done? How much structuring have you done to your writing? Have you appealed to your audience? Things like that. So whenever I'm grading homework, there will always be a rubric associated with it, and I will link that in all of the homework assignments. So you can just click on that rubric and you'll see exactly what I'm looking for. Here's something that's important. If you complete every element of your first draft, you will probably get a 100. If you have attempted every single required part, you're going to do just fine. So the first drafts are graded based off of did you try and did you engage? But the final drafts, after I've given you feedback and after you've had a chance to think about it and revise and have a peer review, that's when I use a rubric, and those rubrics will be available on Canvas. So it is theoretically possible for you to get a 100 on the first draft and to get a 45 on the final. You know how you do that is by doing the first draft and completing everything and then not changing anything. That is going to get you a 45 on the final, and that's probably not going to get you the grade that you really want. The other thing is that if you choose to use generative AI on the revisions, which I actually do encourage you to practice doing this because it might be a part of your professional life in the future, part of the rubric is where I will evaluate the strength of the prompts that you use. We're going to be learning about how to prompt. We're going to be practicing that. Again, not the entire class, but the first unit is about writing in AI. And then we're going to practice a little bit. And then the second and third units will give you a chance to actually use that if you would like to. And if you get confused at any point in this class, I'm sorry, there's no one who can help you. That is not even a good joke, but it was, anyway, email me if you have any questions. Okay, so finally, the final part of this video is, what is the workflow for this class? It's actually going to be broken up into 2 different sections for the most part in the weeks. Because this is a writing class and you need to actually do a lot of writing and you need to get some feedback and you need to have collaboration with both your group and with me, we need an opportunity for you to turn some things in on Thursday and then turn some things in on Sunday. So that's how the workflow will go. You will get access to the whole week's work on that week. And you can, sometimes there will be some things that you cannot do on Thursday because you will need to wait for your peers to have completed something by Thursday so that you can finish it up on Sunday. But for the most part, you can kind of choose your own adventure and do whatever you would like to do here. So we're going to go to Canvas and we're going to log into our course, which I have not yet published, but I'm going to do that as soon as I film this video. So let's take a look at what our Canvas looks like. So the first module here is important course documents. You can find the syllabus where you can find all of these policies written out. You can find a breakdown of the course schedule so you can look at exactly what's happening. You can find instructions for how to install the Lockdown browser, and you can get some resources for what this new Turnitin interface writing space is going to be, Clarity or student writing. You can find that here. But the rest of the modules, or sorry, the rest of the Canvas page is broken up in modules based off of the week that we are working in. So every single week, you need to click on the instructions page, and it tells you exactly what you need to complete for that week. So let's take a look here. Here is everything you need to do. You need to get the notebook with paper. You need to watch the course welcome video. You need to upload a picture of the notes you took. You need to introduce yourself with a voice memo. And that is the basic structure. Now, the rest of the module is going to have the drop boxes if you don't want to use the links here. And there's also this checklist because sometimes there's a lot of text. It might be really confusing. So if there's a lot of work in each of the modules, I'm going to give you a checklist that just helps you keep yourself on track. Did you watch this and take the notes? Did you upload those notes to the assignment Dropbox? And did you record your voice memo? And if you can say that you've done all those things, then you are good to go. I think that's all I need to show you on our Canvas, though I will show you the breakdown of our assignments. So actually, you know what? I haven't done that yet. I'm going to do that soon. The breakdown of our assignments, your homework and daily work are worth, you know what? I can find it by going to our syllabus because it's right here. So I'm going to scroll in our syllabus and find. It's another part of grading, but just so you know exactly how important your homework is, it's quite important. So your homework is worth 35% of your grade. This is both good and bad. It's really good because almost all of these assignments, you can easily get a 100 if you put in the time and effort and just do all of it. So you don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be the world's best homework doer. You just have to get it done. And that means that if you have an A for 35% of your grade, you're sitting pretty. Here's the problem. If you get behind on homework and you don't do it, this can really tank your grade. And so that's not great. So project 1 is low stakes. That means I want you to take some risks. I want you to feel empowered to try something weird, radical, new, different. It's not going to hurt you. Also, because the first draft is timed 75 minutes, don't make that feel like, oh my God, I can't, I'm paralyzed. I want your messy work. The project 2, you can tell how much I care about that project 2. That's something we're gonna work on quite a bit. And then project 3 is a lower stakes as well. So you'll see how you wanna focus your attention. I urge you to really just lock in, do the homework, put in the hours in that because it's really gonna get you through this class. I'm so excited to meet you. Please feel free, obviously, to email me and have a great summer.